Um, hey guys, it's Bella, and welcome to the third weekly lesson for the Gothic Discord group. And we are going to do a little bit of history learning this week about King Theodoric the Great. And I know this isn't the most exciting picture, but this is a seal, a Roman weight with his seal on it. So King Theodoric the Great was the man who founded the Ostrogothic kingdom, and he led a group of Ostrogoth warriors into Italy to displace the Germanic warlord King Odoacer, and he founded a vassal kingdom for the Byzantine Emperor Zeno. And King Theodoric's government initially emphasized peaceful coexistence with the Romans, and you can see here by the fact that he's got a Roman weight and he's putting a seal on it that King Theodoric is really, putting his face onto Romanness. And we have this interesting quote from the Chronica Theodoriciana, which is it's an anonymous chronicle from King Theodoric's time. And it says, although he was illiterate, he was so wise that several things which he said are held in the common tongue to this very day as a proverb, whence it is no effort for us to put some of his many sayings into memory. He said, whoever has gold in a demon cannot hide it. And he also said, this is one of my favorite quotes, a miserable Roman imitates a Goth, and a useful Goth imitates a Roman. And we here in the Buddhist Discord have translated these into Gothic because apparently they were Ostrogothic proverbs. So, Rumans wenach skutin galikoth, yach bruk skuta rumana galikoth, which I find quite cool to say. But then we also have the other one, Huazuch gulf yach unhul to have do gafalchan nimag. So, I'll try to say it again a bit better. So there you go. This is one of the few manuscripts of the Gothic language which hasn't been erased and rewritten, and this is of course the famous Codex Argenteus, which now resides in the Uppsala Library in Sweden, and it's written in silver ink on purple parchment with gold phrases highlighted, and it's so expensive and prestigious that most people think that it must have been created at Ravenna, and probably it was created for King Theodoric himself, because who else would have been able to afford and also even just have the rights to own a purple manuscript of this quality. So we might be looking at King Theodoric's personal Bible here, which I find really exciting to think about. And an interesting thing also is that although King Theodoric really modelled himself on a Roman, and I forgot to mention also actually that this picture here is speculated to be a picture of King Theodoric himself. The name above this mosaic reads Justinian. However, historians think that because this image doesn't really look like other images of Emperor Justinian from the time, what it seems like happens is after the Emperor Justinian reconquered Italy, he wanted to erase the memory of this very popular King Theodoric, and so he simply swapped out the name on top of this mosaic. So this might well be the image of King Theodoric himself, and if we compare it with the image on his coin here of King Theodoric, we can see that in terms of the way the eyes look, to some extent the although this one doesn't have the moustache, but some aspects of the lips and chin, even the hair to some extent, there are some similarities in their appearance. And so I think this is fairly good evidence that this is actually a portrait of King Theodoric, so enough switching between them. But what's interesting here, so these two buildings are the only, well sorry, this one building rather, that's the exterior and the interior. These are the only uniquely Ostrogothic buildings that we have surviving in Italy. Because it seems to be that for the most part, even though the Ostrogoths went about rebuilding a lot of Roman buildings and they made new structures, they seem not to have made anything that was unique. They seem to have just copied Roman architecture, with the exception of this. So this is the mausoleum of King Theodoric, and in the middle there of the interior, we have this stone sort of sarcophagus in the shape of a Roman bath. So even there, King Gothic is imitating the Romans, and his body was laid into that. And this building here is very unusual, and there's nothing quite like it surviving from the Roman world. And actually, the roof, if you can believe it, is solid, so you can see it on the inside. It's literally a solid block of marble, and it was transported on this massive raft, I believe, from Egypt, um, which is a quite astounding feat of architecture. If you imagine the skill it would have taken to erect this building, just amazing. And some historians have speculated that the shape of this building actually evokes huts or sort of yurts that the Ostrogoths may have dwelt in when they were a nomadic, or not nomadic, but when they were fleeing the Huns. These might have been similar to the shapes of the huts they set up in their temporary refugee camps, and actually it does replicate in terms of its roundness and to some extent these like and even these jutting structures on the top. It looks a little bit like the shape of Germanic huts depicted elsewhere in Roman sculpture. So it might well be that this is a glimpse into what Gothic house and Gothic architecture might have looked like. We can't know for sure, but I mean, it's an interesting thing to speculate on. And now we've gotten to Minota, so and let's dive in. Let's continue. So, we are doing possessive pronouns this week. So, possessive pronouns can be thought of as kinds of adjectives, very much like those that were outlined in the first lesson. And examples of possessive pronouns in English are words like my, your, his, her, its, and so on. And as was explained in the second lesson, each noun in Gothic will have its own gender, masculine, feminine, or neuter. The gender that each noun has will in turn change which form of possessive pronoun one uses. So means is for masculine, mina is for feminine, and mean is for neuter. And it should be quite easy for one to notice the pattern of an S ending for masculine, an A ending for feminine, and no ending for the neuter. And this pattern is quite widespread throughout the Gothic language, so it's a relatively easy bit to remember. And unlike in English, where words like my, your, his, and so on are all placed before the noun, such as my dog, in Gothic the word order is reversed, and it's the equivalent of saying dog my in English. Those of you who speak Romance languages might already be quite familiar with this, because it's permissible in case, at least with adjectives in the Romance languages. So my dog in Gothic translates as huns means, with the word means following after the word huns. And the same is true for other genders. So hethio means my room, as well as rasen meaning my house. Does anyone have any questions about these pronouns and such before we continue? You can type them in voice if you're uncomfortable speaking it, don't worry.
It's all good for me.
Yeah, of course it's good. You're well ahead of these lessons. Right, so word stock. We've got some new words that we're learning. So we've just done these. Means, mina, mean, which is mine. And then themes, thina, thine, which is yours. Is, which is his or its. Isos, which is her. Unsar, unsarda, unsar is our. Iswar, iswara, and iswar is your, but it's more than once, like yours. Ise is there. Huns is dog. Frions is friend. Brodar is brother. Iach is two, and also Goths, Goda, and Goth is good. Litils, litila, and litil is small. So, who am I? I need to scroll in the right direction. Here are some exercises, and let's try and do a couple of them. We only have like one in here, so I'd ask the voice if you want to type out into voice, if you could. We'll just do two of each one. So like Huns means and Boka Unser. Would you mind like translating that thing of what it means? Huns means and Boka Unsara. No? Go on, you can do it. You can give it a go. Okay. Oh, Hello?
It's my dog or a ladder.
Yes, it's my dog, and then Boca. That's from an earlier lesson. It's so Boca is a letter. Yes, 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 our letter. Sorry, yes, yes. So my dog, our book. Very good. The second one, Frions is brodar fins. What does that mean? And you can type it in voice, by the way, if you prefer. Either way. Um, so Frions is brodar fins. It is. All right, well, we got an answer. We'll move on. So it's his. So it's like Frions is his friend, and Brother Thines is like your brother. So let's go down a bit further, and we can read about how adjectives do not only change depending upon the gender of the noun they modify, but they also change depending upon the number. So in this case, plural verbs all need to have a plural adjective that goes along with them. And if you're a speaker of Romance languages, you'll be quite familiar with this concept already. So for example, the sentence Gothe sinned, meaning they are good, it needs the word goth, meaning good, to become Gothe in order to match up with the verb that it works with. One should not say Goths sinned, because just like singular adjectives, plural adjectives also have different forms depending on the gender. So Gothe for masculine plural, Godos for feminine plural, and Goda for neuter plural, as examples. So the word bokos also needs a special explanation. So it's a little bit like the word scissors in English. We don't just say one scissor. So bokos must always be plural, even if it only refers to one book. And my understanding etymologically is that like it's sort of, you know, boka is like a page. So bokos refers is like multiple pages, and therefore is the word that they use for book. Um, Frankly, I don't know how one would say many books. One might just say, one might sort of, as an alternative, say manigos vocos or something for many books. Sorry, for many, yeah, for multiple books to specify that there's more than one book. But that's a difficult question to approach in Gothic. But for the time being, let's look at our word stock. So we have the word azete, azetos, and then azeta, which is easy. And these are the plural forms as well. Just remember. So if it were to be singular, it would be azets, azeta, and then azet for masculine, feminine, and neuter. And then we have gode, godos, and goda, which are the plural forms of good. We have morie, morios, and moria, which are the which means short or like little. We have uvile, uvilos, and then uvila, meaning bad or wicked, and again these are plural. Frode, frodos, and froda, like Frodo in Lord of the Rings, meaning wise or smart. And then we've got this little construction here that we can use to sound a bit more confident in Gothic, and it's noch ni, or ni noch, and it sort of means not yet, basically. It's a little bit like noch in German as well. We also have the conjunction aki, aki, meaning but, aki, and samana, which means together. And then lastly, as I mentioned earlier, vos bokos is how you say that book. And I believe now we've more or less come to the end. Yes, we've come to the end of the chapter. In your own time, I highly encourage you to go through these exercises and answer them. If you're stuck on a question, you can just scroll down a little bit below, and then we have all the answers written out here, and you can check your answers. You can see where you went wrong, etc. And if you're ever just confused about something, you can ask in the Gothic Discord server, and we'll happily help you out. But yeah, so for the time being, do those in your own time. If anyone has any questions, you can type them in voice chat now, and I'll happily answer them if anything needs more clarification. And so, alrighty then. the hermeneuta pseudodocetiana, I believe, this week people were going to be doing these sentences. So I've actually had a couple of people who couldn't make it today, but they contributed their bits of the text. So I guess I'm just going to, since we don't have very many students in the chat, I'm just going to read through it. And if anyone wants to offer a translation of a line in type into voice chat, please feel free to. So Forthis Golia lesardi Juamich Golit. Forthis Golia lesardi Juamich Golit. Then Hels lesardi Hele mit Siponios. Siponios stats Rif mis min Stols Stolila Citls. Galistok. And what these mean is Forthis Golia lesare Juamich Golit is first I greet the teacher who greets me in return. So Fortes is first, Golia is sort of I greet, Lesare is the teacher, Huamik Goli, who greets me. Then Hels Lesare is a very easy greeting that you can use in a relation, sort of relation to me, but you would have to use Hella in relation to me, and that's greetings teacher or hello teacher. And then notice this is where the grammar of our lesson comes in. So when the student is referring to his singular male teacher, it's Hales lesari, but when it's multiple students who are also male, it's hele mitsiponios. So we have the singular form Hales and we have the plural form hele, and it has to go with the plural noun mitsiponios. So here we have the grammar of our lesson coming in to our reading of the text itself. So then mitsiponios is a construction of myth, which means with, and siponios, which means pupils or disciples. So then hele mythsiponios is like hail fellow students, fellow disciples. And then siponios is disciples, and then stats is place. Rif mis min is give me mine. Then we have stols, which is a stool, a chair. It's quite obvious from the English. Stolila, which is the diminutive, it means a little chair, and in this case it means a footrest. And then sitels is a sort of sitting place, or just a seat, a place where you sit down. And then at the end the teacher says galistuk. He's sort of speaking to his students like gather down, get settled in, gather together. We're going to start the lesson. And that is all of the text that we have for the hermeneuta pseudodocetiana for now. So if does anyone have any last questions, you can type them in voice chat and or ask them over voice, whichever. And if not, Yoshi is going to give us a brief disclaimer, like a brief announcement about private, one-on-one pronunciation lessons. So take it away, Yoshi. Oh, Yoshi's typing in voice. Cool. Where can I find? So Yoshi's asking where you can find a link to the text. Good question. I will post a link in voice, and or Axel can do that. And for the YouTube video, we will link to the hermeneumata in the description, and you will also have a link to this set of slides that I've made where you can see the text in Achterwerke and also in the romanization on the left hand side. So yeah, there we go. So I think that then is going to be a good point to end the lesson. Thank you guys so much for watching, for attending. Please do the workbook exercises in your own time. It really helps you get confident and fluent in the Gothic language. And if you are watching remotely, asynchronously, and do have any questions, it's something you don't understand about the grammar, feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube video and I will answer it to the best of my ability. But until then, guys, thank you so much for watching, and bye!